This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, no? Start that shit. This is Knockouts and Three Counts. And, man, do we got a show for you. You know, we thought this was going to be one of those where, you know, we hit a few things, get in, get out, talk about it. But, man, you got a forbidden door that I'm getting ready to walk through in Chicago. There's the all kinds of stuff in the world of combat sports from last week's guest, Britain Hart, getting ready to go at it with Bec Rawlings and BKFC. You got Bellator. You got UFC. You got Lights Out Championship, which I've got some things to say about Lights Out Championship. Damn it. There's a lot to talk about. How you guys doing tonight?
There is a abundance of combat, both viewings and news to talk about this Thursday. So I'm doing well. I'm trying to conserve my energy early because I've been fucking tired all day. I've been sun-baked all week. So just trying to get back in the swing, man.
J-Bone, how you feeling?
I can't sit still, man. We got the next week is going to be off the chain, dude. We got all this stuff going on this weekend. Kyle, you got some big news for this weekend. I can't wait to talk about that. We got Forbidden Door, like you said, Bellator, UFC, BKFC. Dude, it just never ends. And then we're going to do it all again next week, dude. All next week is going to be insane. So tons to talk about, tons to do. We're going to be busy, that's for sure. I'm pumped.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, where do you guys want to start with all these things being said? Where should we start? Should we start on a combat sports end of things, or since last night we had AEW Dynamite, that's as good a place as any to start. So let's start there. All right, J-Bone, how are you feeling before we go ahead to this Forbidden Door?
Well, man, it's going to look at Forbidden Door. It's the event itself is special, right? This is one of those special cards. You got to watch it if you're a fan. You can't not. But I think me and you can both agree, very injury plagued so far. So besides that, dude, it may not have been the for me, it's not been the greatest build-up considering we got Blood and Guts. We got Forbidden Door. It's kind of going around at the same time. But for what it is and the matches, just the matches itself on this card are all going to be bangers, dude. And that's worth the price of admission right there. So it is what it is. It's going to be exciting. I
got to give credit where it's due. The way that they were able to salvage that main event last night, I got to say, I am definitely looking forward to the main event, which is now going to be Okada versus Switchblade versus Adam Cole versus the Hangman. And there's definitely going to be some cowboy shit in that one. I don't know, bro. That's a hell of a way. That's a hell of a match. Definitely main event quality.
Yeah, that sounds like a top tier match, and knowing what they've been able to do so far, because like we've spoke upon on the show, them only kind of doing the quarterly shows, I'm sure they'll have something still under their sleeve that, you know, maybe hasn't made its way to the news. Maybe they, you know, call in some favors to some guys that are, you know, coming off an injury or something like that, or just taking some, you know, time off or something along those lines. But I imagine they'd have something up their sleeve as well for this.
You would think so. I mean, it can't be over, right? With the whole like Forbidden Door, quote unquote, people walk through the Forbidden Door every week now. So it's not going to stop. The pay-per-view is going to be the finale. So I would imagine we're going to see some faces, may not expect to see, and some surprises. The crowd's going to be red hot, though. I'll tell you that.
So we already know, you know, and first of all, kudos to them for doing it this way, because they've already pretty much made it to where there's going to be a guaranteed surprise, because we unfortunately found out that Bryan Danielson is down for not only the Forbidden Door, which ring the bell, I'll be there, and Blood and Guts, which is also going down here in Detroit at Little Caesars Arena, and ring the bell because J-Bone and I both will be there. Like I said, I got a couple ideas on who I think it could maybe be on, the replacement for, Brock, you are not lying. Will Osprey has been fucking killing it. I have been a huge fan of what I've seen, and I'm so glad to finally see him on like a major stage, even though we saw him do things here and there. I love Will Osprey. So like I said, no big problems with that. And hey, Will Osprey was just competing here in Michigan for Warrior Wrestling, and I am going to be doing something in that same building, this weekend. But with that being said, hey, yo.
I love how he keeps teasing the breaking news and then he brings it back.
I want to bust out the drums, but
I know, dude. Can we get a Kyle clock over here for the breaking news?
Yeah, we'll get instead of a Cody clock, we got a Kyle clock. I got some stuff to tell you guys about Lights Out Championship this weekend. It's going to be a good time if you're in the Grand Rapids area and you like seeing some good fights. You should come out there. And if you're not, you should watch it on Spectation Sports. But with that being said, back to Forbidden Door. We've talked about the main event. We've talked about what could be the surprise. We found out Bryan Danielson is going to be out. Let's just face it, dude. It's the two names that I've heard thrown around are exactly the two names that I think would fit there, at least, especially if it's going to be from an AEW side of things. The rumored names that I keep hearing thrown around everywhere you want to look is Johnny Gargano and Cesaro. I would like either one of those. What are your guys' thoughts on Bryan Danielson's replacement? Who do you think it's going to be? I am saying that I would love for it to be Cesaro or Johnny Gargano. What are you guys thinking? J-Bone, who do you think is going to be stepping in for the American Dragon?
And so that's been the rumors, right? It could be one of those two. And honestly, flip a coin, dude. You know what I mean? Because at this point, you'd love to see either one of them there. Either one of them's going to go there and kick ass. But if I had to really pick one, like I said, it'd be hard. I'd just flip a coin. But if I had to choose, probably Gargano, just because I mean, don't get me wrong, Cesaro. Dude, top talent right there. He would fit the bill over there for sure with the physicality and all that. I don't know, just something about Gargano, man. I want to see that, especially in that situation. It's just I've always liked his style of wrestling, and he fits. He also fits, you know what I mean, with the Forbidden Door stuff. So if I had to choose,
I'm with it, dude. Like I say, and I think size wise, him and Zack Sabre Jr. would be insane. But dude. Seeing Zack Sabre Jr. back on like a major scale, not that New Japan isn't, I am not mad at that at all.
Right.
Roosh, that's another good one. Roosh is somebody we saw in Ring of Honor and all that good stuff, man. I wouldn't be mad at that. I don't know that I see him fitting in there. I think we're going to see Roosh, realign with his Los Ingobernables teammate and stablemate, Andrade El Idolo, but hey, that's just me. Chris in the comments, Cesaro or Gargano or Timothy Thatcher. Timothy Thatcher wouldn't be a bad one either, but I think, I don't know, man. I don't know.
The beauty of it could be somebody we're not even talking about. You know what I mean? It could be, that's the whole beauty of the Forbidden Door thing. It could be somebody from Impact. It could be somebody from MLW. Who knows, man? But especially with the credentials and the credibility that Danielson has, if we're going to put it into a storyline, that guy's been everywhere, literally everywhere. So if he's thinking about like grabbing an old buddy or somebody he used to tangle with, it could be literally anybody. So that's cool as shit if you ask me, dude.
Not to mention with their tie with Ring of Honor and all that, dude, you never know where you could go there. You could go back to old feuds. You could go a million different places. But boy, see, that seems to be the prevailing, sentiment that would be a fucking banger. Like, if you guys need any idea of the stylings of Johnny Gargano, just go back and watch Johnny Gargano versus Cesaro, which ring the bell. I happened to be there for 2 out of the 3 of those, and they're definitely worth the rewatch.
I'm gonna do the over/under game here. What's the over/under on 5-star matches for this card? Potential 5-star match. I mean, it could be all of them. But if you had to guess, do you think there's gonna be at least one?
Dude, I would be shocked if there's not at least multiple.
So we're like, I mean, 2. Let's say 2.
That's
I'd say
expectations. Yeah.
I would say at least 2, maybe even 3. I mean, that main event, as long as nothing happens with it being clunky, because there's there's that many people in a match, and we all know that sometimes that can happen. Dude, that's got the potential to be a banger. So, and let's just talk about this. For all of you guys who are watching, if you guys are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like button. Please share it. Tell a friend. Let them know what's up and keep them comments coming. But with that being said, am I the only one that's kind of hoping that we see the New Japan ring? Or like a cross between like the New Japan ring and the AEW ring? Like, I just love that. I love that ring, and you don't see it here in the States like that. So, like, I'd love to see the cross of it.
I could definitely see him doing something like that, like, or at least doing, like you say, some type of like iteration where it's, symbolizing it, because that's one thing that AEW has done a great job of, is kind of, the pulling back from history or giving shout outs when rightfully deserved. Either or, they've done a really great job, I feel like, with the both.
Brock said at least 2.5-star matches.
2.5. That's the over/under, man.
Hey, man. Hey, dude. Like I said, it's got the potential to be a banger, dude. Well, let's go through some of these matches and who you guys think's gonna win. So I'm gonna start from. You want to start from bottom to the top or top to the bottom?
Start from the what is it? The buy-in?
So for the kickoff show, we've got the Gun Club or the Ass Boys, whatever you want to call them. And Max Caster versus the New Japan Dojo. So the LA Dojo. Obviously, I'm going to say that the Gun Club and Max Caster are going to get the dub on this one. But
yeah, for sure. That's still going to be a good match. What a match to open it up, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, dude. And the thing is, for anybody who doesn't know, like the New Japan Dojo, man, like those are guys and girls who are in there that are training, and that's where Switchblade Jay White came out of. You can name a whole bunch of names. David Finlay went and trained there. Juice Robinson, there's a lot of guys that have come out of there. So it's not like because they're talking about the New Japan Dojo that these guys are just bums. A lot of guys that have already been trained will go there afterwards. So these are some of the guys out of the LA dojo.
But then another cool sorry to cut you off, but another cool dynamic. Like now you are bringing these guys there, these more undercard type of guys that are getting the rub on pay-per-view. This is going to be the eyes of the wrestling world will be on this show no matter what. So like whoever thought of that is like, okay, that good thinking, because here you are, you're getting the future out there too. So
building some type of brand loyalty and stuff with these guys as well. Cause you're like, hey, we gave you a huge shout, like you say, opening up our pay-per-view. I mean, what kind of, what better spot could there be, really, if you're, an up-and-coming talent, really?
All right. Exactly. Jason says he thinks it's going to be Cesaro to take Bryan Danielson's place against Zack Sabre, which I have no problem with that either for his past in Ring of Honor with Danielson. And I think his past with William Regal would be fitting in that spot because of the whole Blackpool Combat vibe and all that stuff. So I don't know, man. Now that I think about it,
ain't it awesome though? It's literally like
it's crazy. I don't know who to
can't predict it though. It's fun, you know what I mean?
I'm cool with either pick, but now that he said that, now that I thought about it, I think it's going to be Cesaro to face Zack Sabre Jr. That's going to be a banger of a match. So who do you think is going to be in it? And who are you picking for the dub, J-Bone?
Now that you mentioned that, it's a cool dynamic.
It can't be Ricochet. He's in WWE.
No. It's fuck. Yeah. I mean, dude, like I said, toss a coin. But now that you mentioned the whole Cesaro thing, how cool would that be, actually? And he would totally fit the Blackpool Combat Club thing if that's where they're going with it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'd like to see that, actually. But
well, they are, though, if you think about it, because he said on Dynamite last night, he said that he knows the perfect person to take his spot against Zack Sabre Jr. and in Blood and Guts.
Well, that would fit. That would fit more than Gargano if you think about it, with the physicality and the way he wrestles. So, hey, let's do it, man. But if I had to pick that man, it's hard not to pick Cesaro if he's debuting. You know what I mean? But who says it's got to be that way, right? So I'm gonna go with Zack Sabre Jr.
Well, let's not forget. Remember, here's something to keep in the back of your mind with that too. Like, let's not forget. Jericho's got his association with Suzuki-gun from Japan. Zack Sabre Jr. is part of Suzuki-gun. So there's not
so many dynamics, dude. I love it. I love it.
That's one thing that's great about, both sides of this coin is, like you said, I feel as though both options are really a coin flip. I think it'll get a great reaction either way, but the fact that you got a built-in story kind of in either direction that kind of solidifies, which directions I guess they could take. But I truly feel like either one it'd be a win, and just I don't know which one would get more pop, to be honest with you, because I'm not as familiar with the backstory. So,
and that's when wrestling's the best, right? When you can't predict it, when you're legit shocked and in wow, like crowd pops, all that stuff. So hopefully, I'm sure they're gonna tear it down, dude, no matter who it is. But
we talked about Suzuki-gun. Corey, you've seen Suzuki. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino. So I know I totally just fucked that up. But yeah, man, I totally just butchered that name, but I greatly apologize. But with that being said, that's quite the odd couple, first of all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would never put the three of them together, but damn, if you're talking about going into war, Minoru Suzuki is not a bad choice.
Yeah, that's a wild card, dude. That's like a wild card match. You know what I mean? So that'd be cool, though.
Yeah, we were talking about that, man. It sucks how this card has been a little bit snake bit, man. And I would have loved to seen Ishii in there, but hey, man, shout out to Clark Connors.
I mean, to their point, at least they've done a decent job of filling in all these spots that have popped up. Like that's one point I was going to make later on with the PFL when we got to them for a moment. Is the same thing. They've had a ton of like injuries and late replacements and stuff pop up, and they've been able to keep all these bouts going. Same deal here with AEW. At least they've been able to genuinely keep the fans' interest. And to your point, like the main event's going to be still a banger and everything like that. And losing some of the names that they have, we talked to Friendo about that in last week's show, trying to be a promoter that deals with when sometimes things just don't work out on your end. And I can imagine the strings that are being pulled behind the scenes to try to put on the best show that's possible.
Yeah.
Hey, man, there's always a million moving pieces, especially when people are working other places. But so who do you guys got in that one? So it's Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Umino. Who do you got getting the dub in this one?
Dude, for me, it's hard. But like, how do you go against Jericho, man? And with the history of him and Kingston, it's kind of cool that it's going to add on another layer to that. But dude, Suzuki and Guevara on his team, like that dude's got an all-star team, bro. like, how do you go wrong there? I'm taking Jericho, man, the GOAT. I'm taking his team for sure.
Yeah, to your point, I feel like AEW is Jericho's playground, and if you're going to showcase him in a match like this with an all-star team, that's kind of the direction I feel as though they'd go as well.
I can't say that I go against you in that one, man. I'm going that way too. But this next match though, even though I don't know what the hell they were thinking with the name on that. What was the name they gave the team of Sting and them, J-Bone? What was it?
Oh, the dudes with attitudes.
What the fuck was that?
No, so that's if I can rack my wrestling brain, that's
like 1980s WWF. Like
that was like dude,
the dudes with attitudes.
95 or 96, whatever year that was.
The dynamic dudes.
Shawn Michaels and Diesel were two dudes with attitudes, and then they called it something about two champs with four straps because they were the WWF champ, Intercontinental champ, and then they were holding the tag titles as well. Somebody fact check that. I want to say it was like 95, dude. It was like some of the corniest stuff, but hey,
I love the cheesy shit.
It's cheesy.
I don't know why.
Make it work.
And especially for that group of four, but the match itself though is gonna be I feel like it's gonna be a damn car crash because you got Sting, Darby Allin, Shingo Takagi, and Hiromu Takahashi versus the Young Bucks, El Phantasmo, and Hikuleo of the Bullet Club. The Young Bucks are too sweet for one last night. So what are your thoughts on this one? Like I said, this match, even though, like I said, I'm never really the biggest fan of like the multi-man tag matches, but this one's going to be a car crash.
That's one thing where if you're asking my thoughts up to this point in the card, what are we, match 4 or 5? Or,
number 4.
Okay. Well, it's every single one of them has been multiple people matches. Like there hasn't been
Zack Sabre is facing this as a one-on-one match.
I guess you're right. You're right. My mistake. But it seems to be a very common theme that either they're wanting to promote as many guys as possible, or they really do have some intentions on putting on just, as impressive of a match as they can with all these guys that, they can get their hands on essentially.
Well, with AEW, since its inception, they've said that they wanted to really emphasize tag team wrestling. Obviously, with the Young Bucks being EVPs of the company, they wanted, that's been a big knock, obviously, for years on WWE, is that tag team wrestling hasn't been, focused upon like that in years. So, I mean, it's not a big surprise in that sense. But I think it's also got a lot to do with like what you were saying and trying to, and not only that, but make pairings that people wouldn't really expect. I don't know though. Who do you think's going to win this one, J-Bone? You got Bullet Club or you got Sting and Darby Allin in them?
As much as I love Sting, man, I hate going against Sting, but I got to go with the Bullet Club on this because because if you go the other way, why? You know what I mean? What are you getting out of that? The Bullet Club's got their name. Their name's established. They're still dominant. They still matter. So why, in this case, why would they lose?
But they've also, on the other hand of it, though, even though it's funny, the way they were paired up, because if I'm not mistaken, aren't for those of you guys who are watching, you'll feel free to chime in, but if I'm not mistaken, aren't Takahashi and Takagi part of different groups? Because if I'm not mistaken, isn't Takahashi part of Los Ingobernables and Takagi's part of Chaos, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right.
So I was like, that's kind of interesting.
It's another wild card match, dude.
Especially when you consider that on the same card you've got Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, and Chuck Taylor, who were all part of Chaos. So it's interesting pairing, especially when you're going the tag route. So you're going Bullet Club. I don't know. I think Darby and them are going to get the dub on this one. I think Darby and them get the dub just purely because, especially with the Bucks not really being part of Bullet Club like that anymore. I don't know. I see Darby and them getting the dub on that one. Now, go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to say, as much as I find Darby to be probably my favorite AEW wrestler, and I've noted that on the show here, a couple times that he's always been a standout just for the performances that he puts on. Bullet Club is still a big thing, man. You go to every single show that I go to, with you guys and stuff, I guarantee I see at least 12 Bullet Club shirts throughout the night on different random, wrestling fans. So I couldn't imagine them, putting on a performance in the pay-per-view and getting the loss.
And you talk about Bullet Club shirts, man, and the Bucks were one of the ones that originally helped, blow them Bullet Club shirts up out the water, dude. That's why you see them in Hot Topic and all these different things today. All right. The next match that we're talking about, we were talking about it on here that the Will Osprey match was something that everybody was talking about. Now, I am a big fan of that group as a whole. And in the next match, you've got Jeff Cobb and the Great Khan versus FTR for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. And I think this is going to be a badass match. What were your thoughts on Osprey and them in AEW, J-Bone, and how are you feeling on this match?
Hey,
and all that
man.
you got, anybody who's watching, feel free to drop your picks in the comments.
It's always good to see. Osprey, another top tier talent, dude. And the guy needs to be everywhere. If you like professional wrestling, you need to watch him. You know what I mean? So the fact that he's getting to shine in AEW, awesome, dude. I love it. Can't say much more. The FTR match, look, I'm going to make a quick pick on that. They're the best tag team in the world right now. I don't care what anybody says. You could say the Bucks, you could say anybody else, but the gold is where it's at. They're the best tag team in wrestling right now. So, and like I told you, I think I told you this the other day, Kyle, Dax, he could be an early pick for Wrestler of the Year. If you think about what he's been doing lately, he's been wrestling everybody, everywhere. Not his own partner. Remember the match they had, the FTR?
That was great. The match they had against each other was great.
Then he went against Adam Cole. Dude, the list goes on. He's just all over the place, having banger matches, dude. So
and then them with CM Punk, like I say, dude. You're not lying. They've been having bangers, whether it's he's been having bangers, whether it's as a single or as a tag. I think they'll get the win in this one, but I'm a really big Jeff Cobb fan. He's an Olympian wrestler, Greco-Roman wrestler. Guy's a fucking savage, dude.
Wait, let me. So that match was that? I thought I read it. Was it a triple threat tag team match, or is it just a tag team match? Still,
it's just a tag match.
Is it okay? I don't know why I thought I seen a match card and it had Roppongi Vice in the triple threat tag team match, and then they had Osprey versus Orange Cassidy.
Or no, you're right. You're right.
I thought I seen that.
Well, yep, you're right. You're right. They just they announced that yesterday. So, like I said, I still pick FTR to win this one. I still pick FTR to win this one. I think that it's going to be interesting. Now, Osprey versus Orange Cassidy, I feel like could be like the dark horse match of the whole fucking show.
Agreed.
I really do, because I feel like
later. I was going to bring that up later, but yeah, agreed.
I swear, dude, I feel like it's one of the sleeper matches of the whole damn show, because it's got the built-in like safety net that because it's Orange Cassidy and Orange Cassidy has that demeanor that it could be chill. But yeah. I've also, with my own eyes, seen Orange Cassidy pull some crazy shit out, and with him and Will Osprey, and that's gonna be badass.
It goes back to the point I was making earlier. That's another shine for a guy like Orange Cassidy. The guy's got his persona, he's got his character, man. But like, what a hell of a talent! And honestly, he kind of flies under the radar in AEW. Besides that, the things that he's done outside of AEW, incredible, very popular, very over with the fans. So the fact that he's getting to shine here against a guy like Will Osprey, dude, like you said, this could be potentially the match of the night. You never know. I mean, look what Cassidy was doing with Jericho. Remember the Jericho match? I mean, had the orange juice thing. Which was kind
what did they call that? That was the mimosa.
Yeah,
the mimosa something, and like Jericho got dumped in a big ass vat of mimosa.
Yeah, but I mean, top talent, right? The guy's a top talent. So the fact that he's in there with Will Osprey, dude, incredible. Good for him. Glad to see it.
So who you got getting the win in that one, though?
Orange Cassidy.
Whoa, really?
Mark that one down.
Damn. With his hands in his pockets, he will walk out of victory.
With the super kick to the shin. Super kick to the shin, it's going down.
Okay, so I love Orange Cassidy, but because I don't think that Jeff Cobb and them are going to win in that triple threat tag match, there's no way that all three of UE are going to lose. There's no way. There's no way they're all three losing, and Will Osprey is a bad motherfucker. I've been saying this for a long time. I have been saying this for a long time. Will Osprey was just here in Grand Rapids along with our buddy Sam Adonis, and I'm really upset that I didn't go see it. Like I said, out of all the matches on that card, dude, it might be one of the ones that I'm looking forward to most. Yeah. Because, well, that's what it is. It's the unified. So it's the ROH and the IWGP Tag Team Championships.
Oh, so it's a winner-take-all match.
Yeah.
Now,
big balls.
Throws a log on the fire. I mean, come on. Who better than FTR to hold all the gold?
Big balls, dude. Like I said, I'm telling you, man, that's going to be a big match.
Yeah.
I still stick with my pick, though.
Yeah. Same.
But that's going to be, like I said, you know, Corey, you made the comment about the tag team matches for AEW and all that stuff. This match is going to be a banger. Ooh, and they're saying that the Osprey match is for the IWGP US Championship too.
Ooh,
man. Snaps!
See, it's just, we're throwing different dynamics in because now we got to think towards the future because. Yeah, like who's going to be carrying what after all this?
You know it's funny with Osprey though. You notice he wears the Rev Pro belt when he's been out on AEW, but he hasn't been wearing the IWGP belt.
Mm-hmm. I did notice that. It's
just been interesting because I'm like, why? You would think that you would want him to wear that belt, especially being that it's a New Japan co-branded pay-per-view. But hey, what do I know? Hey, I'm just saying. How you feeling about Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm?
Now that's a good one. I like the name, the Thunderstorm match. That's pretty cool, right? We never really get stuff like that.
Thunderstorm.
Man, that's gonna be a good match too, man. But as far as my pick on that, I'm gonna have to say Thunder Rosa. She's on a roll, man. She's on a good roll right now, so I think she's gonna take this one. Not saying Tony Storm's not because she's fucking great, but gotta pick one, right?
I don't think that Tony Storm is dropping the belt, I meant to say Thunder Rosa is dropping the belt, but Tony Storm is going to give her a hell of a match. I've always been a fan of Tony Storm. I think I'm hoping that this will be the match where she can really step up and just really step out and do her thing, especially with all the controversy of like how she left and all that. Like, yeah, I think everybody knows that when she's feeling right and doing her thing, Tony Storm's one of the best in the world. But I think Thunder Rosa is going to keep the belt come this Sunday, though.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So we already talked about Osprey and Orange Cassidy. You got Pac versus Miro versus Clark Connors versus Malachi Black for the AEW All Atlantic Championship. First of all, before we even talk about this match, this title feels like the European title to me, and the name drives me fucking insane.
All Atlantic, huh? Sounds like one of the smaller. When I'm watching college football, and they're like, this team comes out
like
of the
MAC
All-Atlantic
conference.
Yeah, they come out of the All Atlantic Conference. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Who's in the All Atlantic Conference?
Coming out of the MAC conference.
Yeah.
Hey man, it is what it is. But I mean, like I said, I like it if they're gonna build it, and especially with Miro coming back, depending upon who wins. Obviously, we know Ishii isn't going to be in the match. So, J-Bone, who do you got winning this one, bro? Because I mean, Malachi Black and the House of Black have been on a hell of a run. For those of you guys who are watching, feel free to drop your picks in the comments. But I mean, dude, that's a hell of a four.
It's gonna be another car crash of a match. There's gonna be a lot of hard hitting action in this one too. But I'm gonna take the sleeper on this one. I'm gonna take Pac. I think he's gonna win this one, man. I just feel like I don't really know what I feel, to be honest, but I'm gonna take him to win it. Or I mean, I guess it could be Miro, but it could be anybody. But I'm gonna stick with Pac. That's my pick. That's all I got.
Corey, you got a pick on this one?
This is one of those ones. I mean, like J-Bone said, they could go any direction with this. I feel like they definitely matched up a good four to keep the interests high in this one, because you don't really know out of these ones which direction they want to take it. Yeah.
So here's my thoughts on this one. I think Pac and Malachi Black are going to take each other out because they've already been beefing. And I think Miro is going to take the dub over Clark Connors. You heard it here first.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
That's kind of how I see this happening. Now, all right. So we're talking about the IWGP World Championship. We already talked about the matchup itself and the four that we've got in it. Who do we got walking away with the strap? Do you think there's any chance that Hangman bounces back here and picks up that IWGP strap?
I mean, that would definitely be one way to get the ball rolling immediately, right? Like, back in his favor, to immediately win a main event on a pay-per-view, walk away with the belt, and, solidify, his, I guess, place in the company. Just because he lost his belt doesn't mean he's, fell from the grace or anything like that. But I don't know. I'd be surprised if they went that direction immediately, but I don't know. Let me hear some more veterans wrestling opinion before
I agree. I agree. What was I listening to? I was listening to something earlier, but so I'm just gonna get to it. It's hard for me in that match to not pick Okada because one, arguably the best wrestler in the world, dude. Let's face it. He's been one of the best forever now. So for him to come into AEW, Kyle, you've seen how that pop was. The fans know him. They've been waiting on him. So for him to be on a main stage like that, it's going to be hard for him, for at least in my opinion, to lose a match like that, such an important match. I can't see Hangman getting that title because I just can't see what they would do. I think he's going to stick with the AEW stuff. He's one of the guys that are going to stay with AEW forever. He's not going to go anywhere else. But for me, it's hard to go against Okada on that one because, like I said, best wrestler in the world in a lot of people's opinion. How does he not walk away on that, type of match and that scale of a pay-per-view? How do you not pick him?
The Rainmaker is always a good bet in a big match situation, unlike my eyes, because apparently my light is a little bright because I definitely called Javon Jason, and I totally apologize for that. But with that being said, I don't know, man. I don't think Jay White is losing that belt, though. We
need to keep tallies on all this, dude. I'm gonna be watching on pay-per-view, Kyle. While you're there, take your little notebook. I need you to tally
Ring
this
the
all
bell.
up. We need to tally these up, man.
And hit that subscribe button while you're at it.
It seems like, and I imagine in these co-promoted shows that, there has to be some work done behind the scenes to say, like, we need our star in this particular match to, be the one that comes through if you guys want, But with that being said, I feel as though the rest of the show has been definitely leaning towards AEW's favor. If our predictions mean anything, it seems as though a lot of the AEW guys are going to be the ones getting over in these matches. So with that being said, I would definitely not be surprised if they went that direction in that main event to kind of say, hey, even though we got the night.
Well, and we still got one more to go because you still got the main event with Moxley versus Tanahashi for the AEW strap.
Oh, well, the way you were talking about it earlier.
Well, this one is, you've got two main events on this one, so it really just depends on who they want to let, start the night. Hell, they might start the night with one of these and then end the night with one of these. Hell, that would be a great way to start. Start with the AEW Interim Championship or the Fatal 4-Way match, and then have the other one end it. I mean, that would be a banger too. Go ahead.
That's one thing that's actually genuinely cool coming into it as a MMA fan, watching more wrestling pay-per-views for the show and stuff, is you never know really how they're going to jumble the bout order. They might even announce it one way and change it up, and then next thing you know, to your point, they're opening up the pay-per-view with this, the match that everybody's been waiting for, and it's like, well, what are you guys going to do to top this later? And they're like, well, just keep watching, you'll find out. That's one thing that wrestling does do very well.
Yeah. As opposed to Bellator, but hey, I'm just saying, dude, when you got a card like they've got this weekend and there's like this little talk about it, like I don't understand. Like hit me up, Bellator. I would gladly help you promote this stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's what we do out here. But
if we're making that transition into Bellator,
well, we still got one more match to talk about on this one, because you got to talk about that AEW World Championship. J-Bone, how you feeling about this, dude? You got the ace, Tanahashi, excuse me. You've got Tanahashi versus Moxley. It's going to be a banger. You've got the ace. They were tag team on Wednesday. Also, shout out to past guests of the show, the last real man, Silas Young, getting in there and tangling it up with old Hangman. Go check out that episode with the last real man and figure out why you need to not get too comfortable with the last real man, Silas Young. But
he was a real OG. For anybody who didn't check that one out, man, he was a entertaining ass episode, that's for sure.
Like I said, check those out in those past episodes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, all those good things. But I think Moxley is getting the dub in this one. But what a match for him to get to have against a guy like Hiroshi Tanahashi, dude. Like Tanahashi is a legend in Japan. Anybody who's a long-term wrestling fan and watches more than just WWE knows who Tanahashi is. I think it's going to be a damn good match, though. I think Moxley's going to pull a little bit more of a brawl than we're used to seeing out of Tanahashi, but I think it's going to be a damn good match. But I think Moxley's going to be your interim AEW champion, pulling a page out of the UFC's book, and then when CM Punk comes back, him and Mox are going to mix it up. And as long as they get a story with it, I think it's going to be that's going to be a hell of a way to transition.
Yeah, I got to agree, man. It's hard to especially the AEW interim world champion. You know what I mean? It's hard. So it's hard to go the New Japan route. Although, I mean, it could tie into another great story. You never know.
I mean, if we're going long-term partnership, man, I mean, you don't know how much we could continue to see New Japan on there, which I've got no problem with it. Same. I really don't. So, I mean, I'm not complaining if it is going the other way. But if I had to guess, I think this is where Moxley kind of, comes back into the fold.
I mean, like we were just talking with the previous match, the Grand Prix belt. If how crazy would it be if we see the AEW guy win that one, and then we see in the main event the true it would be such a, I guess, role reversal and kind of to pull the blindfold over somebody's eyes essentially. So that's one thing. Yet again, the wrestling way, they love to keep you guessing. So that would not surprise me, man.
As wrestling fans, we think we know everything. We think we got the curve figured out. So maybe they can get us this Sunday. That'd be nice.
Hey man, I'm looking forward to it. Regardless, I'm the shit's gonna be a banger, dude. I don't know how else to put it. I think they did a good job on Dynamite of getting you ready for Forbidden Door and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to getting down to Chicago. Shout out to our boy Ken Brass Hole, the host of Sound Off Sundays. Like I said, that's going to be, if you guys are in the Detroit area, check them out. He's going to be heading down there. We're riding a train down to Chicago. on Sunday, and yeah, dude, it's gonna be a good time. All right, now we've talked about walking through the forbidden door, but tomorrow night, if you guys have been following us at all, there's a big rematch that's coming on at BKFC 26. You've got last week's guest, Britain Hart, in the rematch against Rowdy Bec Rawlings. I'm looking forward to these bare knuckle fights, flat out. So, and in the main event, you got Luis Baboon Palomino versus Brito for the 175 or the 165 belt. Is it 165 or 175? I think it's 175.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. My dyslexia kicks in and numbers start going around.
The next belt up from where Palomino's at, because he's already the 155-pound champ, but this is a rematch.
165.
There you go. I couldn't remember.
Okay.
Hot damn. J-Bone for the win. But yes, sir, I am looking forward to this fight at BKFC 26. How are you guys feeling about these bare knuckle fights?
Well, with the escape of J-Bone, I shall take the lead on this one. I am definitely excited. I was already super excited right before even the whole Britain Hart thing. But after she came on, graced us with her time, man, I feel like their first fight was not a barometer of what this fight will end up being, because she has just shown so much progression in her bare knuckle career, and that being Britain Hart. And with Bec Rawlings coming off the layoff, man, I'm very curious to see how that matchup really plays out once, you get the two toe-to-toe on the line. I'm curious how that matchup plays out. And there's a reason why I'm a subscriber to BKFC. It's because I appreciate what they put on, so I'm always excited for their cards.
I mean, I've got the fight card pulled up here, and I mean, really, from start to finish, I mean, dude, they got I'm really looking forward to the Howard Davis versus Jimmy Rivera fight. I mean, how are you feeling about his debut into bare knuckle?
That's for some reason that one keeps falling under my radar. I've seen it cross my my site, through Twitter or whatever the news media, whether it be YouTube. I've seen it a couple times, but for some reason I keep forgetting that one's also on this card. I mean, you talk about somebody who is just Jimmy Rivera was such a good boxer against so many top level guys that have showcased themselves to just end up being the top level of the UFC bantamweight division, which if you go back, I'm not sure if that was the last episode or the episode before that where I was speaking on the bantamweights just, erupting in the UFC and arguably being, the best weight class that they have right now, at least my favorite, as of currently. And I was so surprised when they let him go to begin with, because of the fact that he's just always in these super entertaining fights. Arguably before Aljamain Sterling beat Perezian, I thought Jimmy Rivera won that fight. I really did. He got knocked down, in one of the rounds and then hit real hard in the later part of another round. But the other 4.5 minutes, he was winning those rounds clearly. So I'm very curious to see how he transitions those skills into the squared circle, the toe the line. Like I say, the toe the line is vicious, man. Starting out at like a arm's reach from each other is just wild.
You're not wrong, dude. I am definitely looking forward to seeing how this one shakes out. But man, it's the interesting thing with Jimmy Rivera is, I heard him say in the press conference that he wants to keep fighting MMA. I wonder if that means he's going to fight somewhere like Bellator, who we've seen, them work with Bare Knuckle FC, like in an MVP situation. I'm very much So looking forward to it. I mean, but then again, you know, you got to imagine. I feel like for guys like them and guys like Chad Mendes to be coming over there, I mean, I wonder they got to be getting paid.
I would imagine so. And even more to your point that you just made, people like MVP who are still under contract. That's the thing, right? Like, it's one thing to be able to lure in some of these free agents and stuff when they're on the market, but to get these active guys that are still under contract with other organizations, I feel like that's a whole nother, ordeal in itself right there.
I would wonder how that would work out with having to pay them, and then like Bellator's got to get something out of that. That's got to be interesting. I mean,
But do they? Because if I'm not mistaken, the way their contracts are set up with a lot of their athletes, especially their higher level ones, they're allowed to basically compete in other non-directly competing organizations. So like boxing, the grappling tournaments and stuff like that. And, apparently BKFC is also in that realm because boxing, just.
I don't know, man. It's wild. I think, I think that Jimmy Rivera is going to get the dub over Howard Davis in this one. But dude, it all just depends on how well he can take those bare knuckle shots, because you don't really know until they get in there. So I don't know.
That's a
I feel
good
like
point.
that's going to be the story to this fight, because he said he wants to use the clinch in that, but in order for you to get in to use the clinch, that means that guy's going to have a chance to touch you. So, like I say, it's going to be interesting.
With all these bare knuckle fighters making their debut, man, like I've said in the past on this show when we were breaking down their cards and stuff, I just hope these guys have done their research, man. Realize that they can't, you can't take a couple shots. You can't really roll with shots like you can in gloves and stuff, because that stuff will still cut you up, man. A grazing shot with bone on bone will cut you open quick. And it seems like offensively, man, if you're going to be victorious 90% of the time, it's the straight shots, unless you're able to get them to the clinch. And really, I feel like a lot of this clinch work maybe, I don't want to say overweighed, but it seems like the people that are most successful are the people that the only time they implement it is they'll throw a couple clean body shots back out and then hit their straights again. I feel like the straight punches are the way to go. So in Jimmy Rivera's sake, being a fan of his, I hope he's done his research. That's kind
Corey, how do guys do coming in to BKFC, like with debut fights? I mean, against guys that have a few under their belt, what's records like when it comes to that?
I mean, Joe Riggs was a killer.
Yeah, it all depends, really, right? Like, honestly, I feel like the big thing in bare knuckle is confidence. A lot of it is confidence. Of course, you have to have skill. You have to be, adequately trained, martial artist and stuff. But you have to have confidence in the ability to also take a shot if, the moment presents itself, essentially. But really, it's just don't fold under that pressure and don't overthink things. It's basically getting in a fight in real life, except you're limited on some rules, but it's more like a street fight than it is, MMA or boxing. It's the bare knuckle thing really in the clinch work. It really adds a different element to it for sure.
That's kind of like what I mentioned when we were talking with Britain Hart. Like, to me, I think the two slickest ways, when it comes to fighting in bare knuckle, it's the ones who are the really slick boxers who can get in, get out, and they're not getting hit, and they're able to hit you and get out, or the ones who are able to make it nasty in that clinch and that can just take that damage. So, like I said, it all kind of just depends on how you plan to play out that fight. But that's not the only fight that we've got on that card. So you've got, we mentioned Jimmy Rivera, the next fight of business, like we mentioned, past guest of the show, Britain Hart versus Rowdy Bec Rawlings. Now, before we get to this fight, do you think that was a knockdown in the last fight?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? I haven't watched it back since, essentially basically since it happened. But it's hard to say, really. Like she got a clean shot landed on her, but she didn't necessarily look wobbled from it. It more looked like
And I mean, she got right back up.
Yeah.
I mean,
so, but
it's hard to say.
There's the pop down. So I don't think so, but it's hard to say. If I was an official in there, probably not, because I'm a little more lenient in my thought process when it comes to like official knockdowns and stuff. But I could see it, you know.
Corey, we got to sign you up, man, to be an official somewhere.
I wish if I
hey, with the way some of these fights have been going lately in combat sports, man, they could use you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed also having on. His name's escaping me right now, but the MMA official,
Bobby Wambacher.
Yeah, Bobby it was great to break down his mind for a little bit and kind of pick the thought process behind one of these guys, you know, the third man.
Especially when he was just in there for a decapitation like Alan Belcher. I'm just saying, Alan Belcher put that man to sleep.
That's one thing I really respect about a lot of those guys, though, is like I watched the Big John podcast and I've watched Herb Dean do a ton of interviews, and you know, all these, you know, MMA refs, they really have a huge respect for the game, and that's where I feel like, you know, like when you were throwing out those terms, like I could see him like, he wasn't decapitated. He just got knocked out really bad. Like he like didn't want to, like, you know, like he was looking at it from a technical side where he was like more like concerned about the other guy and stuff like that. Like where, you know, as a fan side of us all, we're all like, you know, damn dude, he knocked the fuck out of him. Did you see that shit? Damn dude, you got knocked the fuck out. Yeah, like,
Smokey. But yeah, dude, that was an insane fight. Shout out to Bobby. If you're a fan of combat sports, go back and check that out. It's got a lot of good stuff. We also broke down who we thought won a UFC 275 between Valentina Shevchenko and Talia Santos. I still stick by kind of what I said there. I said what I said. This next fight, I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm glad that Yuli Diaz didn't get hemmed up with going to knock on homie's door and tell him, like, quit talking with them Twitter fingers. Quit talking with them Twitter fingers. I need you to talk with those Twitter fingers and make sure you follow us at KO3C Pod. But yeah, man, it was Yuli Diaz is going to head with Ricci. I am a big fan of both of these guys. And knowing that they were going to spar together before they found out that this fight was on the table, I feel like, I don't know, dude. I feel like this is going to be a banger. I think it's either going to be quick or somebody's going to get messed up.
See, I was following Yuli Diaz pretty hard, right? Like, at first I like the crazy hairdo with the dreads and the tats and shit and stuff. He reminded me of an Island Boy or some shit, you know, before they were even cool. And after that knockout, man, I went and I seen him pop up on a couple of interviews and podcasts and shit that I watched. So I was like, all right, I'll give this dude a chance, you know, listen to him and stuff. And he took me for completely left field. He surprised me for like who his personality was and shit like that. So ever since then, I've been following his career a little bit. I was like, you know, not a huge fan or anything, but a fan in the background. And he had made his transition trying to be successful in MMA again as well, and if I'm not mistaken, was unsuccessful in his last bout, and is now making the transition back to the bare knuckle side of things. And I feel as though this is going to be a real, like I said last week with the whole put up or shut up thing, man. I feel like this is another one of them circumstances, man. Like, you made the transition, you were doing really successful both in the bare knuckle and MMA. He had like a nice like 5-6 win streak in a row or something along those lines, and then puts himself in this predicament. I feel like at this stage in his career, he could either put on just super entertaining fights, or he can actually try to get that rise towards, you know, some type of contention for whether it's MMA or BKFC. So put up or shut up. I feel like this is a perfect example for Yuli Diaz.
So do you think he's getting the dub in it?
Yeah, because I'm a fan of his. So, but I don't know for sure.
Well, the other guy
right.
is 4-0, right? That's what I thought I read. He was
Yeah.
4-0.
That's what I mean. Yeah, this is a tough one for sure.
Hopefully it's a banger, dude.
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a banger. I don't know. I kind of feel like his time away might have hurt him a little bit. I think Ricci's going to get the dub in this one. I like Yuli Diaz as well. That being said, did we all make our picks on Britain and
do we have to though? I mean, no, for real though. Like, shout out Britain Hart. Thank you for the time, and you know which way my fanhood will be lying for sure in this one. But,
dude, I know, dude. Like, this is it's a tough fight because the thing is, like, to be honest, like Bec Rawlings did a lot better in Bare Knuckle than I ever really expected her to be honest.
Yeah. She definitely transitioned her skills well. If I'm not mistaken,
she was slick, bro.
Wasn't she Bare Knuckles' first women's belt holder?
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, before making that transition back, yet again, did she take this time off that she's been, actively posting on OnlyFans and keep working, or was she too busy posting?
Well, I mean, she fought in Bellator after she took her break, though.
Yeah, but I feel like that was what over a year ago or
a couple years ago
at this point.
It was a couple years.
Oh, it was a couple years even. So that shout out.
She said in the press conference, she said that ring rust is for bums. So she says that she said that's something that bums use as an excuse. So she says it's not going to be an excuse.
I like that attitude because, like I say, a lot of things in combat sports in general just boil down to being confident in there and trying to implement your, game plan. And if that's truly how she feels, then that's nothing but a positive on her side. But that being said, I like I said when we first kind of brought up the card, man, I feel like Britain Hart has done such an amazing job of improving her skills in the bare knuckle arena. That I feel as though she's, with looking at where the first fight was and talking to her about not necessarily her limited combat experience, but she was fairly young in her career when BKFC had pursued her, and to see where she's transitioned to at this point, I think it's going to be a totally different fight for sure. I don't think it's going to be necessarily domination because, like Britain Hart was also saying when we had her on, anybody who didn't listen to that, go back and listen to that episode. She talked for a solid hour and 15 about, some great stuff, but she is slightly undersized in the weight class a bit. And so I feel like it's not going to be some domination where she's able to push her around and stuff like that. But I feel like she's going to use what she learned and the experience gained in the ring and showcase that.
All right. I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to that one being a banger. Well, how do you see the main event? Luis Baboon Palomino versus Brito in their rematch. Again, there's a lot of space and time in between their last fight. I don't know, man. Palomino's looked like a bad dude over there in Bare Knuckle. So I don't know. I find it hard to go against him, but how are you feeling on that one?
Well, to your point earlier, this is his move up to try to become, double champ DC status, and what better person than Palomino and BKFC, because to your point, he's shown to just be dominant as hell. It's the weirdest thing because Bare Knuckle is so unpredictable, man. It seems like one good shot lands and, the fight's just over. But for what he's been able to show in there, that hasn't been the case in any of his fights. He's been able to lead the dance, and he's looked very, I don't want to say unbeatable, right? Because everybody shows glimpses of, areas of, I guess, lesser than qualities, but
they all got chinks in the armor.
Yeah, they all got chinks in the armor would be a
spit it out, guy. Jump on that tongue.
Yeah, the weed doesn't allow me to always finish the sentences. But that being said, Palomino, man, he's earned this spot for a reason, and I don't see him. Like you say, I don't see it going another way, man. He's earned the spot for a reason. So we shall see.
Still undefeated.
Come tomorrow night, but
He's so slick too for a guy that came from MMA. You wouldn't expect his boxing to be that slick. And then the fact that he has the MMA background, he's able to throw in the clinch there. You know, he's really probably got one of the most well-rounded games of bare knuckle, in my opinion. I think Palomino gets the dub in that one. Where are you going with that one, J-Bone?
Same, man. Still undefeated, still dominant. Can't go against him, Palomino.
Palomino's trying to get paid.
Double
Like
champ.
Champ, trying to get paid, trying to get that BKFC money. Shout out to our sponsors, G3 Payroll, Tax, and Accounting. If you need to get your money together, get your payroll, get your finances in order, make sure you hit up our friends at G3 Payroll, Tax, and Accounting. Tell Jack that the homies from Knockouts and 3 Count sent you, and get your mind right. But with that being said, I said that there was a little bit of news. We had Matt Friendo on. He talked a lot about what happened with the XFC. He talked a lot about Lights Out Championship fighting that's going down. Lights Out Championship 8 going down this Saturday. Grand Rapids, one of the last shows of the Deltaplex in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I will be on commentary next to Drew Gardner for this event. So I will be getting to call the main event between past guests of the show, Austin Bashy, and his opponent, who both of these guys are getting looked at by the UFC. Like I said, it's going to be a hell of a card. I'm pulling up the card here. I'm really looking forward to it. Shout out to Matt Friendo for giving me the opportunity here to go do this stuff. And so, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this shit.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, congratulations to you first and foremost. That's the shit right there.
I appreciate that, dude.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. We're gonna get to hear you on pay-per-view.
Yes, sir. Spectation Sports. Make sure you check that out. We will throw the link up on all the social medias. I shared the post out with Friendo announcing that this morning. Like I said, it's gonna be a good time. Grand Rapids. Get with it.
Hell yeah.
Not to dive too deep into the details, but I was trying to look into that myself. Do you know if that's a paid service to watch the fights, or is it a pay-per-view, or how's it going to work?
I believe it's a pay-per-view thing.
Okay.
As far as I know. I think it's a pay-per-view stream. I think you got to click on there, and then you pay whatever the stream cost is, and then, you'll be able to stream those fights. I mean, Austin Bashy versus Chris San Jose. I don't know why I wanted to say San Diego. But dude,
that other city.
Dude, I feel like such a jerk off. I promise you I will have his
right before Saturday.
I was gonna say I promise you I will have his name right on Saturday. I don't know why I said San Diego, but dude, I'm looking forward to this fight.
Sacramento.
Look, at least I had the sand part right, all right? But
you're gonna get him killed come Saturday. Oh,
dude,
man.
I will most definitely have everything together for Saturday. But like I said, it's gonna be a banger of a fight because I've looked into Chris. He's a hell of an opponent that they're bringing in here to face Austin. Both these guys really, you heard Matt say it on the show. I mean, both of these guys really are on that level to be, fighting in the UFC. I don't know. It's definitely going to be something to watch come this Saturday, huh?
Yeah. I mean, Austin, to your point earlier, he's just put on nothing but ever since he's made that transition to his pro career, he's just been set ablaze essentially. And has just been out there every couple months, putting on another winning performance. So, he can't be far off, even if this fight isn't necessarily the one. It can't be more than one or two more after that. He's definitely got some eyeballs on him. There's no denying that for sure. Young guy going out there putting on dominant performances and stuff. But this is it seems to be at least his toughest test from the outside looking in. So Friendo definitely did a good job on that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I got Chris's stuff in front of me. You know, he's 6-0, 6-0 out of Oregon. He's out of Art of War MMA and Fitness. I don't know much about the camp. Like I said, he's 6-0. Austin, you know, is coming in at Austin's coming in at 6-0 as well. Like I said, he just captured the Shamrock FC belt. I mean, both of these guys are really on a thing. And go ahead.
Are you gonna hit him with the line "Somebody's O has got to go"? Are you gonna do it to him, Kyle?
You gotta come up with something, man. Some kind of catchphrase or something.
Oh, dude, if I come up with something, it's probably gonna be on the fly. Like, you know, when we were doing wrestling or college wrestling, and you know, there was so much team versus team. It was Muskegon on Muskegon crime. You know, I'll think of something. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Come this Saturday. You know, it's crazy. You know, there's been some changes to this card too since we talked to Matt Friendo. You know, past guest of the show, Calvin Harbaugh, was supposed to be fighting Chad Kuhn in this one, except he's got a broken hand. And now Anthony Fleming, you know, Anthony Scoops Fleming, past guest of the show, will be stepping up, going to be in there to face Chad Kuhn. So definitely looking forward to seeing how that goes. Mickey Marshak's another guy that I've trained with in the past. I think he's going to put on a show. Let's see. We've got, I think it's Kenny Cross's cousin, Blake Cross, is on this one. Like I said, it's going to be a fun time down there, Grand Rapids. Lights out fights, and shout out to Matt Friendo on the opportunity, man. I am looking forward to getting behind a live mic and flapping my gums on some pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
Gonna be great.
He did a great job of like we had said when we had him on. He did a great job of being able to pull all the pieces he could together to still salvage this card. I know he had some.
And he said from the post he put out that it's going to be a multi-fight thing. So who knows, man? Maybe this ain't going to be the only time you're going to see lights out.
It seemed yet again for anybody. We've had a couple good ones these last couple weeks, and for anybody who is watching this but may have missed that, it's definitely one to go back and worth the watch. And he had said basically, all these guys keep pushing me, man, and they should know for their best interest it wouldn't be the best idea. And now here we are, just a couple days later, essentially, and he's got a multi-fight
deal.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't the fight deal. It was the provider deal, or whatever you would want to properly term that as. But either way, definitely some noise coming out of that end for sure.
Definitely looking forward to it. If you guys are watching the fights, or Austin Bashy fans, or any of the other guys that are on this card, like I said, if you're in the Grand Rapids area, check it out. I'm looking forward to it. All right, dude. I kind of skipped around in order, but you also got Bellator, and maybe I skipped around in order because there's not as much talk about this fight as there should be. But
Corey ain't having that.
Fucking Bellator, man. I've just been burning me all week. Like, the only thing I'll see is a fucking Twitter post from their own Twitter. It ain't even like a promoted thing or something like that from Twitter, why it's showing up on my feed. It'll be like their official fight poster with just the two guys fucking standing there. It's like they try the very bare minimum. It's like I don't understand it. Like you say, Kyle, I would love to work with them, so I try my best not to shit on them on this show because of that fact. Like, I feel as though a ton of their athletes put on great, fights. Their production
And this is
and
gonna
stuff
be a
like
banger card.
yeah, their production and stuff's great. The fact that they're taking these fights to places like Hawaii and stuff like that, where a ton of fighters ask for fights to be held in the UFC, but for some reason we never see the fights make their way there. So I like a lot of the things that Bellator does. Don't get me wrong, but man, what the fuck are you guys doing when it comes to advertising your shows, dude? Like, I literally I run a business where we do nothing but advertise by word of mouth, and I swear I have more interest in people and having me install their garage doors than there is fucking people wanting to watch this fight card on the weekend. And you're talking like Gegard Mousasi is an all-time great, arguably the best 185er right now. Him versus Izzy would be an absolutely great fight. Motivated Gegard, that is, as long as he, shows up. But I feel like a lot of the reason why he hasn't showed up in some of these fights for Bellator is just because he knows there's this lack of interest on the fight end. It's just, I don't know how are you guys trying to be competitive as a number 2 organization and maintain that position when you have all these other organizations that would love to steal that spot from you guys? You guys have the roster, in my opinion, to be the solidified number 2, but you guys just keep, I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if it boils down to Showtime. I truly don't think it's Scott Coker. I think Scott Coker has the best interest of the organization at heart. He really does seem to try to, make the best for Bellator. But man, their marketing team is just, I don't know. I don't know what to say, because like there's genuinely like next to no hype on the socials or anything for a fight where you got Kat Zingano, you got Sabahu Masi, and
they were like trying to fight each other on the casino floor and shit today.
You got a bunch of these like, fan favorite Bellator fighters, and these are people fighting on the prelims. These ain't even your main card fighters. You got a ton of top tier talent fighting on your main card. You got the Bantamweight Grand Prix moving into its, near final stages. Huge fights. You got what's the dude's name? Fucking the Italian gangster Danny Sabatello. He's the only reason why people know about your fight card this week is because he's out there talking shit every time he gets a mic in front of his hands. I don't know, man.
What you're saying is they need some social media ambassadors or something like that.
Man. Rant over, but man, they need something, dude, because they have the fights, they have the talent, they have the production. They're on a top level, channel provider with Showtime. I mean, I don't know how many households they reach or whatever, but it's got to be in the millions. And I'm sure they're not reaching 100,000 views come fucking Friday.
Oh, I think they're reaching 100,000, but
maybe because it's not a pay-per-view. But I mean, these numbers ain't going to be great, man. And for the amount of talent that they have on this card, I feel as though they could genuinely be competitive in an MMA sphere. And it doesn't help that we have such a stacked weekend. That's not necessarily their fault, especially the way that they run their cards, being once or twice, a month. Sometimes they skip a month entirely. But having 3 different, major events, PFL, Bellator, and BKFC all running on one night, same start time and everything. I don't know, man. You don't put that kind of marketing
on the same night?
Same night, no same start time.
So that's what you meant earlier. Like, how am I supposed to do this with all these TV?
Dude, like,
oh, boy.
And with the lack of marketing, I don't think they're going to get a ton of new subscribers to Showtime or something because of this card, where you could if you actually fucking marketed the thing. So,
well, I mean, like we were talking about with that Kat Zingano thing. I mean, what are your thoughts on what Cyborg said about? It came out earlier that Kat Zingano said that she, in order to fight Cyborg, she wanted independent drug testing to make sure that the fight was on the up and up. And Cyborg is basically saying the fight was offered to her, but Zingano didn't want the fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, she had already Chris Cyborg being, she had already came out in the media, if I'm not mistaken, about 4 or 5 months ago when the Bellancourt, I hope I'm saying that right, fight happened this last time for Cyborg. But that was who she was essentially supposed to fight, was Kat Zingano. And to your point, she had came out and said Kat Zingano doesn't want the fight. She'll talk in the media talking about how she wants this, that, and the other, but she won't sign on the dotted line with a contract in front of her. And now she's got another fight. She's fighting on, I'm a fan of Kat Zingano, so I don't want to.
But Kat Zingano had a actual, like she said, like, I told them when I came in, like, I wanted to get a few fights to kind of get, she said essentially Bellator wanted to get her a few fights in the promotion so that they had some clip, because all of her clip was from the UFC pretty much.
Right.
And, and then that way they'd have some stuff for when she fought Cyborg. I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, I don't know which way you think is in the truth. If you think the truth is somewhere in the middle, I mean,
Usually
all I
is,
know
yeah.
is either way it goes, fighting Cyborg is going to be crazy. But how do you feel Kat Zingano is going to do in this fight come this Friday?
I feel as though they definitely put her in a huge winnable fight for her. I don't think they gave her some, like, somebody that's a world beater or something along those lines. But it's definitely still a competitive fight. And if
because Pam Sorensen's not a bum.
That's what I was gonna say. And if Kat Zingano wants to claim to be one of these people that should be, contending for a title beyond just name value, right? Because I feel like that's why everybody was clamoring to get her there, was just because people know Kat Zingano, not necessarily because of, her giant win streak or some dominant performances or something that she's done. It was because, hey, we know that you guys got her and also got Cyborg, so why don't you guys just match that up? Well, to your point, Kyle, I do think it would be smarter for Bellator to allow Kat Zingano to really get back in the swing of things fight-wise. But with all this drama and stuff going back and forth, I don't know, is that, like, you also got to strike when the iron's hot. So I feel as though when it comes to this fight, I feel as though it's definitely winnable for her. And if she wants to be that person, like I said, that, claims she's the rightful title contender and then is also trying to tell the champion in an organization that's notoriously lacks drug testing that she needs to be drug tested, this, that, and the other, she better win this fight. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, do you think it's a case where they might just say the hell with it and get another challenger?
Maybe. Or
I mean, because here's the thing: do you think that Kat Zingano, if the fight happens, gets the job done against Cyborg?
No. That's a firm no. That's a firm no. And I like Kat Zingano, but that's a no.
I do too.
I don't see.
She was killing it in the bikini at the weigh-ins and everything, but I'm sorry, I don't really see anybody in Bellator that's going to beat.
I just don't see what position. Like I say all the time, right? Who has more ability to finish in what positions in Kat Zingano, in arguably in every single aspect of MMA is slightly lesser than Chris Cyborg. So I don't see where she would be able to outclass her in that fight. So be a tough one for her, for sure.
And then you've got Brett Primus is on the prelims as well. That's another guy that they've hyped a lot, and to have him on the prelims, they got a lot of guys and girls that are on the YouTube prelims, and that's even something that Cyborg said in the press, in the presser and all that, with Cyborg, with Kat chirping at her like, okay, have fun on the YouTube prelims.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to pose this question to you guys, because yet again, like I said, with Showtime not doing a ton of marketing and stuff for them, not really letting it be known that, hey, we're putting on this great, 5-fight main card exclusively on your paid subscription. You think you'd want to tell some people maybe, so you can get people to pay for your subscription, but what do I know? But Do you think that Bellator is intentionally, because it seems like that's been the case a lot lately with some of their rising talent and stuff like that, is instead of putting these guys in their rightful co-main spot or, third fight from the top or something, they do have these guys in the prelims because maybe they are getting more eyeballs on the free side because, how many people are making that leap to make the payment to watch the rest of the fights,
I mean, that's definitely a idea. That's definitely, something that, that you could definitely put some thought into. But it's just crazy when you think about it because, like I said, it definitely is a card that's looking cool. It looks like it's going to start with Brennan Ward, who has really kind of been on a comeback trail. I remember watching Brennan Ward a few years ago with Bellator, and to see him come back from his battle with addiction and all that stuff, and then to come back and look like he has. I think he's going to get the dub in this one, but this is definitely a step up fight for him against Cassius Kane.
Yeah, big time. And to your point, to make that return, if I'm not mistaken, it was that last big show that they did in Ireland when he made his return and the fans were going crazy for him and shit like that. And he was kind of out in the media saying, I'm undecided if I'm going to make a true return or if I'm just going to kind of do this as a 1 or 2 off type thing. Well, here he is, 4 months, 5 months later, right back in the swing of things. So, in my opinion, for somebody like him who's had, noted struggles and stuff like that, I feel like that's the best thing you can have as somebody who prides themselves on being a professional athlete. The best thing you can do is be an active professional athlete. And so being in there, returning right away and stuff, I do think it's definitely a step up fight, but I think Bellator is high on him, and I think they would put him in a position where they want to see him get the win.
I don't know. How you feeling about Brennan Ward, man? Do you think he's going to get the dub in this one, J-Bone?
I do, man. I do. With everything being said, yeah, I think so.
All right. Let's see. What else do we got on this card? The next card, shout out to our guy, Jimmy Smith, the voice of Monday Night Raw. If you guys are watching this and didn't get to check that out, you can go check that out in the past episodes as well. But, he said on his show, Unlocking the Cage, which you can check on Sirius XM, he was talking about how the more Magomeds that you have in your name, the better that you are. So Magomed Magomedov versus Enrique Berzola. I don't know. I think I might have to go with Jimmy's divine wisdom, and I think Magomedov is going to win this one.
He's got like the trifecta of Russian name thing going on for him, right? He's got the freaking double repeating name where it's like Askar Askarov type, like that, like where it's your last name. They just took a shortened version of your last name and they're like, that worked for first name. Like and then the Nurgameda, it's always with the off at the end, like the OV, whenever you see it end with the OV, it's over for you more than likely in this fight.
Pretty much.
And,
that's a good one. That's a good one, actually. That's pretty good.
Nice. He's definitely, in watching him fight Bellator, Josh Thompson in particular, like I said, I watch their podcasts all the time, him and Big John, and he loves to bring up all the time that he was the first one to get a victory over Peter Yan back in the day. It was Nurmagomedov, or Magomedov, however you say his name, but he
let's just know that any of those are never going to want to come on the show thanks to you, Corey.
I'm a big fan of multicultural people. You just got to get to know me before. But that being said, I don't know, man. They've done a great job with building up this bantamweight Grand Prix, and I feel as though the name is going to live up in this fight. The double name for sure. How do you bet against them?
Yeah. The name itself is a safe bet. So
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
So we're all going with Magomed.
2-time.
Hell yeah. 2-time, 5-time WCW champion. But then we've got, like you said, Danny Sabatello versus Leonardo Higo. Obviously Higo has the jiu-jitsu background. Do you think he's able to get it done against Sabatello? Now, to Sabatello's credit, even for all the trash that guy talks, I respect the fact that he said that he won't go after a guy's religion, his family, some outside stuff. He said, so everything I say is going to be something that's going to be based on, your fighting ability and that kind of stuff. So how are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you think gets a dub?
I love the fact that he did all of his media in just a straight black hoodie with white writing on it that said Hugo sucks. Like that's all it said on the front of it. I'm like, that's some classic shit right there. But I don't know, man. I feel like he made a huge splash. That being Danny Sabatello, he made a huge splash ever since kind of not being successful on the Contender Series. He won his fight but didn't get picked, and then got picked up by Bellator and is now arguably a fan favorite to try to win this bantamweight tournament. So he's made a huge splash, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like his style it's an interesting style to try to win this fight against, to your point, somebody who's a jiu-jitsu specialist. I mean, he's predominantly somebody who takes people down and kind of grounds them to a victory. He doesn't hold people there. He definitely is active on the ground and stuff, but I think we're going to have to see him stand up a little bit more in this fight, at least to be comfortable and, not have to be, worried about getting caught up in something.
I think Sabatello is going to get the dub in this one, dude, but I think, it's definitely going to be a step up and a test for him. I was getting a kick out of this guy reading all the tweets of people talking shit about him at the press conference. Like,
Yeah,
I can see that, like
he's got to live up to a big game now, though, man. He's talking a lot of shit, so taking a lot of shit, talking a lot of shit. Hopefully, he can back it up.
Scared money don't make no money. I think Danny Sabatello is going to be getting 2 checks.
Just the simple fact, I agree with you, Kyle, on that. I think he will be able to be successful, but just the simple fact that Magomedov has already been the Bellator champ, has had a ton of promotion from, not a ton because Bellator never does a ton of promotion, but had decent amount of promotion from the organization, is more well known and stuff. And to see that this trash talk has moved him past them in the card is an interesting move, because I feel like I don't know if it's a Brazilian H. So but that being said, the fact that they moved that up, I don't think it's because of the Higo side. It's definitely because of that trash talk coming from Sabatello. So interesting move from Bellator.
He's making it popular on Twitter, so it's kind of the only promotion we got here.
We got this guy talking trash, man.
Pay the
It's
man.
sad too, because then when you got in the main event, you got one of the best middleweights, light heavyweights you want to talk about. One of the best MMA fighters. I heard Josh Thompson say earlier that he thinks that that Mousasi is the best middleweight in the world. And I mean, he's got a lot of wins against a lot of good people, and he's beaten a lot of people. You're going to have him going to war in the main event here against Johnny Eblin. I'll be honest with you, dude. I hate to say it this way, but I think Gegard Mousasi gets him another dub here.
I was a little, not like super high on the Austin Vanderford train in Mousasi's last fight, but I felt as though it would be more of a challenge than it necessarily ended up being. I don't know if Austin just had an off night or whatever the case being, but I thought that was going to be a closer fight than it was, and I feel like this fight with Eblin is basically the same thing as that, except change a couple of their attributes. add a couple points here, minus a couple points there, type, stuff. And when you look at Gegard Mousasi, he truly is levels above Evelyn in so many realms of MMA. I feel like Evelyn's got a chance if he's able to get him down, if he's able to implement his wrestling, if he's able to, while they're on the feet in moments, be successful there. Or maybe if he lands something hard and gets Mousasi hurt at some point. Mousasi's done a great job of avoiding damage his whole career. I feel like that's why he's been, so successful, is a lot of times he's able to stand on the outside and implement his game. So it's going to be a tough one, man. Bellator's, they're doing their best to build up these young guys, have them fight, the 4 or 5 real fights, and then put them in these title contention fights. But when you got guys like, Gegard Mousasi and stuff as your title holders, man, you're feeding these young guys to the lions, in my opinion.
Scared money don't make no money, man. You got to be the man. You got to beat the man. You heard what Ric Flair say.
But when you're beaten, it would be different if Gegard Mousasi was like 42 and was just like this dominant old lion. But if I'm not mistaken, isn't he like 36 or some shit? He's still in his prime. He
got like what, 60 fights?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken,
This fight's going to be number 50.
Yeah, I think
50 fights.
Yeah. And he was like, it was like 42-7 is his record or some shit. So it's like, not, like I always, when I'm watching fights, if I'm not hanging out with you, I'm hanging out with my old lady Robin. For anybody who's watching, she'll ask me all the time, like, what's a good record and stuff like that, because she'll, they'll flash across the screen, and I'm like, basically, if you win 75% of your fights, you're doing pretty well in an MMA, career, especially in the top end of the organizations and stuff. And when you talk about that number, man, he's shooting in the high 80s there, boy. So, that's beyond successful. And to have all the title defenses and all the names and stuff on his record. So
I want to know his exact record now. I'm going to Google that. I got to see it.
Well, while J-Bone looks up Gegard Mousasi's last record and all that good stuff, we've got one more fight to talk about. No need to go into like a full detail on this one because it's another example of a card where I feel like the UFC it's a card that's going to be fun, but it just doesn't have a lot of hype on it. Shout out to Chris Curtis starting off the card against Rodolfo Vieira. I think this is going to be a good fight. But they've got Chris Curtis as a favorite at -135 against a +115 for Vieira. I think I'm going to go with Curtis on this one. And speaking of betting odds, shout out to Matt Frendo. They got the betting sponsor for the Lights Out fights that are going on this weekend in Grand Rapids as well.
Nice.
But yeah, I agree with you on that one. The action man himself, Chris Curtis, I feel as though is going to be able to get the dub. Rodolfo Vieira, I feel like if he was able to round out his MMA game, I feel like he could be somebody in there. But I feel like and it's a thing with a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys, and I feel like maybe a reason why a lot of them don't end up making that transition from high-level competition jiu-jitsu into actual competitive MMA is they rely too heavily on that once the fight, presents itself, as they want to constantly chase that submission even when the position or moment doesn't present itself. They're actively looking for it, where, in a grappling tournament, somebody may play along with that, but in a fight, they have no reason to, And I feel like that was the case in his last fight when he lost against Fluffy Hernandez. And I don't know, man. I feel like Chris Curtis has made this interesting glow up from being this guy on Bellator and PFL that nobody followed, to all of a sudden being this guy on this nice win streak in the UFC. And I feel like the ball keeps rolling.
I'm kind of with you. I think Chris Curtis gets this dub. Hopefully he gets him another win bonus too.
Yeah.
All right. Second fight. You got Nate. Is it Maines? Nate Manis or Nate Maines versus
Manis.
Okay, Manis versus Umar Nurmagomedov. There you go, the Magomedovs again.
The Magomedov.
That's a quick one. Who do you think's going to win that one, guys?
Nurmagomedov.
Well, seeing since
And it looks like the odds think so too, because it's a minus 900 to a plus 625.
What? Oh boy.
Well, seeing how, and I hate to bring up his name in vain since he was able to get that great victory last weekend, but seeing how Umar kind of ran through our boy Cody Stamen in the way that he did, I feel as though he's got to do it faster because Cody would definitely beat Manis. So, MMA math, it's always certain, right? So, Umar Nurmagomedov.
Well, Cody beat him, so you got to beat him faster. Beat him. All right, you got Thiago Moises versus Christos Gallegos. You got a minus 255 for Moises and a plus 215 for Christos Gallegos. For me, I'm going Moises in this one. I think he'll overwhelm him a little bit, but I expect Gallegos to be scrappy in this one.
I feel like in this is an interesting fight that is kind of flying under. I'm sure there's a lot of hardcores like me that are like, oh, these two got matched up. This is an interesting one. But both of these guys were on a real upward trajectory. Both of them suffered a pretty notable loss. Thiago Moises in particular against Islam Makhachev was a main event. And you kind of seen since then, they've kind of been on a little bit of a skid. If I'm not mistaken, Moises is on now a 2-fight skid. And Christos Gago, his name. I know exactly how to say it, but I can't even.
I've had the best luck with names this episode.
Gallegos.
That guy. But if I'm not mistaken, he's on a 2-fight losing streak as well. But both of them, like I say, were like trending towards that, going to be the next top 10 type of guys. So, yet again, said it again once, I'll say it again, put up or shut up type of fight, man. Who's going to stick around, trying to make their way up towards the top of the division, and who's going to kind of be shuffled into the undercard dance, I guess you could say.
All right. Well, I mean, dude, J-Bone, who do you got in that fight?
Taking the underdog on that one. I'm chasing the money, man, when it comes to DraftKings. You know what I mean?
Holy God. Go to J-Bone for your parlay picks if you want to lose all your money, because I think he's going all underdogs.
You'd be a very broke person if you do that. Don't do that.
The next fight, we got another Michigan boy, Josh Perezian versus Alan Bedeaux. I've seen Josh Perezian fight a bunch on the Michigan scene here. I've got teammates and friends that have fought against him. Always hope he does well coming from Michigan. How do you see this fight with him versus Bedeaux, bro?
I feel like Bedeaux is slightly undersized for a heavyweight, and I feel like that's one thing that Perezian's not, is undersized at heavyweight.
Definitely not.
I feel like that'll be the big difference in this fight is the size difference, man. I feel like he'll be able to implement, not necessarily the wrestling, but just be the bigger guy in there and kind of, be able to bully him around a little bit. And I feel like Bedeaux is not necessarily tested enough of being, and not to, be stereotypical or anything, but coming out of France and stuff, a lot of those guys weren't able to get the level of competition that they need essentially to develop their career because MMA just became legal in France, a year ago now. So I feel as though this is definitely a very winnable fight for Perezian. That's the way my money would be falling on this one.
I like Perezian in this one too. Like I said, I think he can win. I've seen him fight on a bunch of the local cards here. And he's a tough grinder. But again, like you said, he's a heavyweight. You can catch him. I think Perezian gets this one probably by a decision, most likely. All right, dude. Next fight, shout out to Neil Magny, dude, because nobody else wants to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. And Neil Magny says, fuck it, I'll fight him. So now here he is in the co-main event. Do you think Neil Magny can pull off what a lot of people are saying is going to be an upset, even though he's the higher ranked in this fight?
I just love the fact that he's like, yeah, being Neil Magny. Yeah, I'll take on your guys' hype train. Give me your toughest contender. Give me freaking Cosmo. I'll take him. You know, he's freaking yelling from the hills for this fight. And they're like, okay, you want the tough fight? Yeah, we'll give you the tough guy that's undefeated. Yeah, we'll give you the tough undefeated guy that's been needed a fight like this, essentially, to make his move into the upper echelon of the division. And the one that nobody's talking about, yeah, that's who you were talking about. He's like, no, the other guy that everybody, and he's like, but here's the contract. All right, fuck. And then to your point, Kyle,
the other guy, he said.
To your point, Kyle, shout out Neil Magny for accepting the fight, really, because being the higher ranked guy, being the fact that he's coming off a victory, he didn't necessarily have to take this fight. And I don't think it's going to end out how he's hoping. I really don't. I feel like there's something about these guys that live up in the mountains.
It's the awe.
Well, no, when they truly just devote their lives to trying to like be the best martial artists. Like a lot of these guys, even once they
you caught that, didn't you?
Yeah, it's the OV. It's the OV. Means it's over for you.
But,
see that these are the things you can expect on commentary come this Saturday.
No, but it's these guys that just devote their lives out. And these, you know, Shavkat Rakhmonov, man, he's from. I watched a little, or not watched, but seen a little thing that was posted on Twitter about like humanizing, you know, UFC athletes and stuff, and it was like his favorite food, his favorite animals, his favorite show, and all that shit. And it was like favorite animal, horse, favorite food, horse meat. It's like there's a certain type of breed of people in the world, and like they're just different a little bit.
Certain breed that eat that horse meat, bro.
I ain't fighting that dude though.
Not even that they eat horse meat. That's not even the issue. The fact that you're saying this is your favorite, and then also
and eating it,
but it's delicious. You know,
the horses are magical. Damn it!
But I find it hard to lean against the undefeated fighter in this fight. Neil Magny. He's shown up on a lot of occasions and proved he's deserving of this position. If I'm not mistaken, he's actually just passed GSP for the most wins in the division in his last fight. So he's rightfully in his ranking, but I feel like Shavkat is not rightfully in his ranking, and we'll see him move up after this fight.
I'm with you, dude. Like I said, I think he's going to step up and show out. But then again, you know, Neil Magny's already shown the ability to be able to show out too. So, like I said, I'm going the other way, like Corey said. But I wouldn't be shocked to see him try to show up. Now you got Gamrot versus Sarukian, and bro. Again, this is another one of those where it's going to be a badass fight. But, you know, as far as like the main event fight for a UFC, I mean, Bellator's got the better card.
Yeah, they do, especially name value wise. But one thing that I love, and I'm probably going to get at least out on an island on this with just a couple other hardcores, is I love the fact that they took some guys, though, that are on these win streaks where they should be kind of moving into these positions and giving them a main event. I feel as though it's better than giving some of these 8 versus 7 heavyweights that are both coming off of losses or something like that a main event again, like, or some guys that we've seen a million times that have made that transition to the main event status, but have just kind of lingered in that realm, but never really done anything beyond it. I feel as though that's how we see the changing of tides as we start to see these younger guys moving into these main event and co-main slots. Do I think they could have definitely done a little bit better? Maybe. But that being said, I do like the fight, and I do like the fact that it's 5 rounds with two, read the names off to me one more time. I don't have the card in front of me. I don't want to butcher them.
Sarukian and Gamrot.
Yeah. Sarukian, his only loss in the UFC was to Islam, and everybody else that he's fought, he literally just ran through, basically. And Gamrot, not quite as dominant, but definitely deserving of this position as well. But I feel as though this is a great fight for them to build up Sarukian. I really do. And like I say, 5 rounds, man. It always makes these fights so much more interesting when these young guys who haven't had that 5-round experience, especially even if you have on the lower level in, before you've made it into the UFC and stuff, that 5-round main event status, you're signing posters, you're, answering questions all week and shit. It's a different ball game. You hear guys talk about it all the time. So I like to see that they're at least trying to usher in a couple new faces.
I'm with you. I think Sarukian's going to get the dub in this one. And, you talk about long ones. Man, there was a lot of shit to talk about in this show. We are getting close to 2 hours here. I have got to go to work tomorrow. And, like I said, this Sunday, I'll be on that bullet train to Chicago to go check out the Forbidden Door, And if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the like button, the comment button. Shout out again to our sponsors, T3 Payroll, Tax, and Accounting. Tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you. And with that being said, man, like I said, if you need something to do Saturday night, I highly recommend Lights Out Championship 8. Just saying. With that being said,
Lights Out. Let's go, Kyle.
Lights out, game over. You know what POD said. Until next time and in the in-between time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And you never know what you're going to see. Now, next week, we're only going to have the one show. It's looking like with the Deathmatch Circus coming, but Blood and Guts is coming, and Ring the Bell will be in the building.
Yeah, boys.